In late 1947, a team of scientists at Bell Labs built a device that would eventually touch every aspect of modern life. At the time, routing electrical signals meant relying on mechanical switches or fragile glass vacuum tubes. Engineers needed a way to control the flow of electricity using electricity, without relying on physical moving parts to break or wear down. The solution was the bipolar junction transistor. Even in its earliest form, this solid-state device could switch circuits and amplify signals with incredible speed. The discovery solved the mechanical bottlenecks so effectively that its creators, William Shockley, Walter Brattain, and John Bardeen, were awarded the 1956 Nobel Prize in Physics. But how exactly does a microscopic block of material with zero moving parts act as both a switch and an amplifier? To understand this, we have to look closely at the physical anatomy of the transistor itself. Let's scale down to the microscopic level of a semiconductor wafer. A standard diode uses a single PN junction to guide electricity in one direction. A bipolar junction transistor merges two of these junctions back-to-back into a three-layer block. These sections are the emitter, base, and collector. The middle base layer is incredibly thin and lightly doped with impurities compared to the heavily doped emitter. Depending on how you arrange these semiconductor materials, you end up with two specific configurations. You can sandwich a positive layer between two negative ones to make an NPN transistor, or do the exact opposite to make a PNP. These devices are bipolar because their operation relies on the movement of two different electrical charge carriers, negatively charged electrons and positively charged holes. NPN and PNP transistors guide current in opposite directions, but they rely on the exact same underlying physics. This specific physical geography is not accidental. It is engineered to allow the device to regulate large volumes of electrical current through its internal junctions. The defining rule of the bipolar junction transistor is that it is a current-controlled device. At rest, the junction potential between the base and emitter acts like a barrier. Applying a tiny input current to the base narrows this depletion region. Because the base is incredibly thin, a massive flow of current sweeps directly from the emitter to the collector. The volume of current reaching the collector is directly proportional to the small amount of current you feed into the base. A microscopic trickle of electrons acting on the base dictates a massive electrical flow across the entire component, all without any mechanical intervention. By manipulating this current relationship, engineers can force the transistor to operate in one of three distinct states, known as regions. First is the cutoff region. If you provide zero base current, the junctions remain reverse biased and the device is fully off. It acts identically to a severed wire or an open switch. On the other extreme is the saturation region. By forward biasing both junctions, the transistor turns fully on. It acts as a closed switch, letting maximum current pass through, the foundation of modern digital logic. The third state is the active region. This occurs when the base emitter junction is forward biased to allow flow, while the base collector junction remains reverse biased to maintain control. In this state, the massive collector current perfectly mirrors the minor fluctuations of the base current. This allows the transistor to take a weak incoming signal and scale it up into a much stronger output. This ability to amplify is why early transistors were immediately put to work boosting analog signals, most famously giving rise to portable audio in the classic transistor radio. By engineering these three microscopic layers, humanity created a solid-state microvalve that controls electricity with perfect precision. It is the fundamental building block of the modern world.